Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, February 16th, 2021. Before I jump into the book, I want to go back to something that I've been saying to all of you, and that is the world is not going to unfold according to your wishes. The world is not going to unfold according to your wishes. Instead, the world is going to do what?
What it's going to do.
The world is going to unfold in the way it unfolds, whether you're here or not. And it's really important to understand that. Because what each and every one of us, what we all do is we personalize what's happening. We personalize what's happening. We act as if that we should want certain things and that the world should give us what we want. And that is not going to happen. The thing that creates all pain and suffering is clinging and resisting, clinging and resisting. And we all cling to what we want, and we all resist what we don't want. When in fact, we have no control over what we're going to get. If you want a richer experience of life, which is what you're all after, correct? Is there anyone who doesn't want a richer experience of life? I'll take that as a no. Then want what you get. Want what you get. And want whatever you get, all of it, not some of it, all of it. Because what you get is best for you. Be grateful for all of it. And rather than wanting, give everything you have. Give everything you have. So again, it's really important to understand the world is not going to unfold according to your desires. There's no way that it can. There's no way that it can. And whether you're here or not, the world is going to do exactly what it does, with you or without you. So the mantra that you want to live by is everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything. Want what you get. Want what you get. Everything will be okay as soon as you are okay with everything. Now that represents a very different way of being here. Would anyone disagree? Yes, no?
No.
Okay. So let's dive into chapter 2. Your inner roommate. And again, what we talked about last week is the fact that you have an inner roommate. You have a voice within you that's not you. Okay, you're not the voice in your head. You are the awareness that notices that voice. And if you doubt any of this, then spend today being very quiet and looking to hear that voice inside of you. You have a nonstop discussion with yourself all day long, all day long. Whether you're aware of it or not, get aware of it today. See how much talking goes on in your head. You buy a brand new car and it's beautiful. But every time you drive it, your inner roommate finds something wrong with it. The mental voice keeps pointing out every little squeak, every little vibration, until eventually you don't even like the car anymore. Once you see what this can do to your life, you are ready for spiritual growth. You're ready for real transformation when you finally say, look at this thing. It's ruining my life. I'm trying to live a peaceful, meaningful existence, but I feel like I'm sitting on top of a volcano. At any moment, this thing can decide to freak, close down, and fight with what's happening. One day it likes someone, and the next day it decides to pick on everything they do. My life is a mess just because this thing that lives in here with me has to make a melodrama out of everything. Once you've seen this and learn to no longer identify with your roommate, you're ready to free yourself. You are not what you personalize. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. You are the awareness of these things. This is really important to get because we identify with what we think is happening to us. We identify with the thoughts that we have. We identify with the feelings we have. And you're not any of that. You're something much greater. If you haven't reached this awareness yet, just start to watch. Again, spend a day watching every single thing your roommate does. Start in the morning and see if you can notice what it's saying in every situation. There's probably a dialogue going on right now about this call and what I'm saying. He's full of shit. What does he know? This is ridiculous. Every time you meet somebody, every time the phone rings, just try to watch. You all have this experience. Someone's going to call you today, and the moment you see their number on your phone, what's going to happen?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you're going to start tripping out in some way, correct? You all have this experience. A good time to watch it talk, your roommate, is while you're taking a shower. Just watch what the voice has to say. You will see that it never lets you just take a peaceful shower. Your shower is for washing the body, not for watching the mind talk nonstop. See if you can stay conscious enough throughout the entire experience to be aware of what's going on. You'll be shocked by what you see. It jumps from one subject to the next. The incessant chatter seems so neurotic that you won't believe that it's always that way. But it is. Most of what we think every day, 95% or more of what we think every day, are not thoughts that we put in there. It's thoughts that are just happening. We're not thinking these things. They're just thoughts in there, churning round and round and round. You have to watch this if you want to be free of it. You don't have to do anything about it, but you have to get wise to the predicament you're in. You have to realize that somehow you've ended up with a mess for an inner roommate. If you want it to be peaceful in there, you're going to have to fix this situation. And the way we fix it is simply by being aware of it. The way to catch on to what your inner roommate is really like is to personify it externally. Make believe that your roommate, the psyche, has a body of its own. You do this by taking the entire personality that you hear talking to you inside and imagine it as a person talking to you on the outside. Just imagine that another person is now saying everything that your inner voice would say. Now spend a day with that person. You've just sat down to watch your favorite TV show. The problem is you have this person with you. Now you'll get to hear the same incessant monologue that used to be inside, except that it's sitting next to you on the couch talking to itself. Did you turn off the light downstairs? I don't remember. You better go check. Not now. I'll do it later. I want to finish watching the show first. No, do it now. That's why the electric bill is so high. You sit in silent awe, watching all of this. Then a few seconds later, your couchmate is engaged in another dispute. Hey, I want to get something to eat. I'm craving some pizza. No, you can't have pizza now. It's too far to drive. It's fattening. It's not good for you. But I'm hungry. When will I get to eat? To your amazement, these neurotic bursts of conflicting dialogue just keep going on and on. And as if that's not enough, instead of simply watching TV, this person starts verbally reacting to whatever comes on the screen. At one point, after a redhead appears on the show, your couchmate starts mumbling about an ex-spouse and a painful divorce. Then the yelling starts, just as though the ex-spouse were in the room with you. Then it stops, just as suddenly as it started. At this point, you find yourself hugging the fat corner of the couch in a desperate attempt to get as far away from this disturbed person as you possibly can. Will you dare to do this experiment? Don't try to make the person stop talking. Just try to get to know what you live with inside by externalizing the voice. Give it a body and put it out there in the world, just like everybody else. Let it be a person who says on the outside exactly the voice of your mind, what the voice of your mind says inside. Now make that person your best friend. After all, how many best friends do you spend all of your time with and pay absolute attention to every word they say? How would you feel if someone outside really started talking to you the way your inner voice does? How would you relate to a person who opened their mouth to say everything your mental voice says? After a very short period of time, you would tell them to leave and never come back. But when your inner friend continuously speaks up, you don't ever tell it to leave. No matter how much trouble it causes, you listen. There's almost nothing that voice can say that you don't pay full attention to. It pulls you right out of whatever you're doing, no matter how enjoyable, and suddenly you're paying attention to whatever it has to say. Imagine that you're in a serious relationship and you're about to get married. You're driving to the wedding and it says, maybe this is not the right person. I'm really getting nervous about this. What should I do? If someone outside of you said that, you'd ignore them. But you feel you owe the voice an answer. You have to convince your nervous mind that this is the right person, or it won't let you walk down the aisle. That's how much respect you have for this neurotic thing inside of you. You know that if you don't listen to it, it will bother you every day of your life. I told you not to get married. I said I wasn't sure. The bottom line is undeniable. If somehow that voice managed to manifest in a body outside of you, and you had to take it with you everywhere you went, you wouldn't last a day. If somebody were to ask you what your new friend is like, you'd say, this is one seriously disturbed person. Just look up neurosis in the dictionary and you'll get the picture. That being the case, once you spend a day with your friend, what is the probability you'd go to them for advice? After seeing how often this person changed their mind, how conflicted they were on so many subjects, and how emotionally overreactive they tended to be, would you ever ask them for a relationship or financial advice? As amazing as it seems, you do just that every moment of your life. Having taken its rightful place back inside of you, it is still the same person who tells you what to do about every aspect of your life. Have you ever bothered to check its credentials? How many times has that voice been totally wrong? She doesn't care for you anymore. That's why she hasn't called. She's going to break up with you tonight. I can feel it coming. I just know it. You shouldn't even answer the phone if she calls. After 30 minutes of this, the phone rings and it's your girlfriend. She's late because it's your 1-year anniversary and she was preparing for a surprise dinner. It was definitely a surprise to you since you completely forgot the anniversary. She says she's on her way over to pick you up. Well, you're very excited and your inner voice is chatting about how great she is. But haven't you forgotten something? Haven't you forgotten about the bad advice the inner voice gave you that caused you to suffer for the last half hour? What if you had hired a relationship advisor who had given you that terrible advice? They had completely misread the entire situation. Had you listened to the advisor, you would have never picked up the phone. Wouldn't you fire them on the spot? How could you ever trust their advice after seeing how wrong they were? Well, are you going to fire your inner roommate? After all, its advice and analysis of the situation were totally wrong. No, you never hold it accountable for the trouble it causes. In fact, the next time it gives advice, you're all ears. Is that rational? How many times has that voice been wrong about what was going on or what will be going on? Maybe it's worth noticing whom you're going to for advice. When you've sincerely tried these practices of self-observation and awareness, you will see that you are in trouble. You will realize that you've only had one problem your entire life, and you're looking at it. It's pretty much the cause of every problem you've ever had. Now the question becomes, how do you get rid of this inner troublemaker? The first thing you'll realize is that there's no hope of getting rid of it until you really want to. Until you've watched your roommate long enough to truly understand the predicament you're in. You really have no basis for practices that help you deal with the mind. Once you've made the decision to free yourself from the mental melodrama, you are ready for teachings and techniques. You will now have a real use for them. You will be relieved to know that you are not the first person to have this problem. There are those who have gone before you and found themselves in the same situation. Many of them look for guidance from those who had mastered this field of knowledge. They were giving teachings and techniques such as yoga, which were created to help in this process. Yoga is not really about getting your body healthy, although it does that too. Yoga is about the knowledge that will help you get out of your predicament, the knowledge that can free you. Once you've made this freedom the meaning of your life, there are spiritual practices that can help you. These practices are what you do with your time in order to free yourself from yourself. You will eventually catch on that you have to distance yourself from your psyche. You do this by setting the direction of your life when you're clear and not letting the wavering mind deter you. Your will is stronger than the habit of listening to that voice. There is nothing you can't do. Your will is supreme over all of this. If you want to free yourself, you must become conscious enough to understand your predicament. And then you must commit yourself to the inner work of freedom. You do this as though your life depended on it, because it does. As it is right now, your life is not your own. It belongs to your inner roommate, the psyche. You have to take it back. Stand firm in the seat of the witness and release that hold that the habitual mind has on you. This is your life. Reclaim it. All right. Anybody hear anything? Anyone recognize their inner roommate in that reading?
Very much so.
In what way?
Just always letting my mind wander when I'm trying to focus on something, and it seems to be my inner roommate talking to me.
Okay. Anyone else? Hello, hello.
When I'm trying to come up with use emotional intelligence, and my inner roommate just wants to tell him to, screw off.
Yep, that happens.
I really resonated with finally absolving yourself of the melodrama for you to finally be accepting of the teachings.
Okay. Anyone else?
I notice it a lot when I'm meditating. I mean, there are times where I'm meditating where I let go of the voice, but there are times where there's so much chatter that I can't let go of the thoughts.
Okay. Anyone else?
I want to say that I really hate my inner roommate. She makes me feel sometimes so doubtful of my actions and my thoughts and my achievements. It's always like second guessing of what I want to do and how I want to do it.
Yep, I bet a lot of you can relate to that.
Steve, what about the when the inner voice is actually inspiring, when it's right about something, when it's the voice that helps you create things? Feels like that voice is, there's a lot of chatter that's incredibly negative, but there's also a lot of wonderful, wonderful inner dialogue that is the creative force.
Well, part of this awareness is to understand how to use your thoughts. That first is to recognize we have this narrative going on all day long. And most of it is not helpful, most of it. And instead, you can learn to use thoughts to help you. You know, it's not that thoughts are bad. It's just that most of the chatter in your brain is chatter that is designed to make you feel better in some way. However, it's focused on getting the outside world to conform to your wishes, which the outside world is never going to do. The outside world is going to do what it's going to do, whether you're here or not. And all the, again, this is the whole thing. We tend to personalize everything that's happening to us. We don't actually experience reality. We experience our personalization of reality.
But sometimes you have to listen very, very carefully. For example, I had exactly what you just described, the wedding, going to the wedding, big white wedding at the Bel Air Hotel. My inner voice was saying, I don't know about this.
Right.
Guess what? The marriage lasted for 1 year and the voice was right. So you've got to, sometimes that voice is actually an intuition, an insight. And part of the work, I think, is to be able to sort out when that roommate is negative and when you're actually hearing something that you need to hear.
And as this unfolds, that will be addressed as we go deeper and deeper into this. Again, the first thing is to just realize that we've got this voice going on all the time. And we are not our thoughts. We are not our feelings or emotions. We're the awareness that notices the thoughts. We're the awareness that notices the feelings. This is the big thing to get, according to Michael Singer, is, what's in our head is how we experience life. It's our personalization of what's happening. What's in our head, what's inside of us, it is our thoughts. What's inside of us is our feelings. And those three things are actually distracting us from life itself, from what is actually happening. And the place we want to get to is where we actually experience every moment. And we let that moment in, all the way in, and we let it pass. We let that moment in, all the way in, and we let it pass. And instead, what we do is we hold on or we resist. We hold on to things or we resist. And that blocks our energy. And we'll get into a lot more of this going forward. Anyway, thanks everyone for being here. Again, the book is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. Thank you.